All right. Glutamine, huh? We're going deep on this one.
Sounds good.
We've got this article here. Everything to know about glutamine.
Okay.
Published, just a couple days ago on Intravit Global's website.
Cool.
Obviously, we're all pretty familiar with the basics.
Right.
But I think there's more to this amino acid than meets the eye. Right?
Absolutely. Definitely.
So we're going to uncover some benefits.
Yeah.
And really dig into how it can make a difference for your health and wellness.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Let's do it.
I think some people might be surprised by how multifaceted glutamine is. It's one of those things where, our bodies produce it.
Right.
So it's technically non-essential, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But research is showing that supplementing with glutamine can be super beneficial in a bunch of different situations.
Okay.
Especially when, the body's demand for it, exceeds its ability to just produce it naturally.
Gotcha. Like if you're pushing yourself really hard physically.
Yeah, exactly.
We're dealing with an injury or something like that.
Exactly.
So before we get too far into it, though, how does this stuff actually work, like on a cellular level?
Okay, so every single cell in the body needs fuel, right?
Right.
And glutamine is a really important part of that process.
Right.
It's like a precursor to glutamate,
Right.
which is a neurotransmitter, essential for brain function.
So it's helping with our brain power.
Exactly. And it also plays a huge role in ATP production.
And remind me, what is ATP again?
It's like the energy currency of our cells.
Gotcha.
So glutamine is kind of indirectly involved in keeping us sharp and keeping our energy up.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, right.
For one little amino acid.
And its role in protein synthesis is equally fascinating.
Right. Break this down for me.
So every time we exercise, or if we injure ourselves, our muscle tissues break down.
Yeah.
So glutamine provides those building blocks to help repair and rebuild.
So that's why it's so popular for athletes.
Exactly. It's crucial for muscle recovery. And there's actually studies showing that supplementing with glutamine can really speed that process up.
Wow. So it's not just helping it, it's actually speeding it up.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, what about gut health?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's been a big topic of conversation lately.
It's true. It's so important. And glutamine is absolutely critical for it.
Okay.
So think about the lining of your intestines. Imagine it's a really tightly woven fabric.
Okay.
And this acts as a barrier between your gut and the rest of your body.
Gotcha.
And glutamine, it's a primary fuel source for the cells in this lining.
Okay.
And it basically helps ensure its integrity, and it helps prevent something called leaky gut.
Leaky gut. Now that sounds unpleasant.
Yeah, it's not great.
What is that?
Basically, the barrier becomes compromised,
Right.
so toxins and bacteria can leak into your bloodstream.
So glutamine helps prevent that. Okay, so it's supporting a healthy gut lining,
Yeah,
which helps prevent all kinds of issues.
totally.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so a healthy gut leads to better digestion,
Okay.
nutrient absorption, even immune function.
Wow.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Studies have shown glutamine can be particularly helpful for people with IBS.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So by reducing inflammation and promoting healing in that gut lining, it can actually alleviate those symptoms like bloating, abdominal pain, irregular bowel movements, all that.
So it's not just like a general gut health thing.
Yeah.
It could actually be therapeutic too.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, now earlier you mentioned energy production.
Right.
I want to go back to that for a second.
Okay.
I'm always looking for ways to, beat that afternoon slump.
I feel that.
So tell me more.
Okay, so remember how we talked about glutamine being involved in ATP production?
Yes.
Well, it's also involved in nitrogen balance, which is essential for energy metabolism.
Okay.
And when our nitrogen balance is off, that's when we experience that fatigue and that decreased performance.
Oh, yes.
So glutamine helps to restore that balance.
Gotcha.
It basically optimizes how our body produces and uses energy.
Okay, so it's not just physical energy. It's like mental energy and focus too.
Totally. It's all connected.
All right, I like that.
Yeah.
Well, before we go any further, let's talk about where we can get more glutamine.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, what are the best sources?
So luckily, it's found naturally in a lot of foods.
Okay.
So like chicken, fish, spinach, dairy products, those are all great sources.
So incorporating those into your diet is a good place to start.
Exactly.
Now, what about supplementation? Is that something you recommend?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're super active or recovering from an injury or dealing with, a specific health concern like IBS.
Okay.
There's glutamine supplements. They come in, all sorts of forms, powders, capsule. But it's always best to check with your doctor or healthcare provider before starting any new supplement regimen, just to be safe.
Yeah, that's solid advice.
Yeah.
And speaking of being safe, are there side effects to be aware of?
Right. Transparency is super important.
Yeah.
Glutamine is generally considered safe for most people.
Okay.
But some potential side effects could include things like bloating, nausea, or headaches.
Okay.
But those are typically pretty mild
Okay.
and often subside with continued use or maybe adjusting your dose.
Gotcha. So it sounds like the benefits far outweigh the risks,
Exactly.
especially if you're using it responsibly under the guidance of, your doctor.
Precisely. Exactly.
So with natural supplements, it's always smart to err on the side of caution.
Yeah, always better to be safe than sorry.
All right. Well, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like we're just scratching the surface here.
We've got a lot more to uncover.
We do.
There's so much more to this amino acid than people realize.
All right. Well, let's keep going then.
You're totally right. There's so much more.
Okay. So let's dig deeper then.
Yeah.
We touched on, muscle recovery, gut health.
Mm-hmm.
But what about wound healing? That part of the article really stood out to me.
Yeah, wound healing is a really complex process.
Right.
And glutamine plays a super important role there.
Okay.
It acts as a fuel source for the cells that are involved in tissue repair,
Gotcha.
specifically fibroblasts and keratinocytes,
Yeah.
which are essential for, rebuilding damaged skin.
Interesting.
And not only that, glutamine also helps to reduce inflammation, which is, a key part of healing.
So if someone's recovering from surgery,
Right.
a burn, even a bad cut,
Yeah.
supplementing with glutamine could actually help them recover faster.
That's the idea. And there's actually a lot of research now
Okay.
demonstrating how effective it is.
Wow.
For example, there was a study published in the Journal of Parenteral and Enteral Nutrition,
Okay.
and it found that glutamine supplements significantly reduced wound healing time in patients recovering from abdominal surgery.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
It is.
And it kind of makes sense, given what we know about glutamine's role in,
Yeah.
cell growth and repair.
Totally. Totally.
So it's not just muscles, it's everything.
It's working on a deeper level.
Okay.
It's supporting those fundamental processes.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, the article also mentioned cognitive function.
Right.
And I know we talked about glutamate briefly, but I'm curious to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's super fascinating, and there needs to be more research, obviously.
Sure.
But the early findings are really promising.
Okay.
So glutamate, as we discussed, is crucial for communication between brain cells.
Right.
And it's involved in so many cognitive processes.
Like what?
Like learning, memory, attention.
Okay, yeah, the important stuff.
Important stuff, exactly.
So would it be fair to say that by boosting glutamate production,
Mm-hmm.
glutamine's sort of indirectly contributing to better brain health?
Yeah, that's the idea. It's not like a direct boost like caffeine or anything. It's
Right.
more about giving your brain those building blocks to function at its best.
Okay, so it's more of like a
foundation.
a foundational thing, long-term brain health.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Now, let's shift gears a bit here. Talk about cardiovascular health.
All right.
We haven't really gotten into that yet.
True, and it's definitely an area that's getting a lot of attention these days.
Okay, why is that?
Well, inflammation is a key player in a lot of cardiovascular diseases.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've talked about, glutamine has some pretty potent anti-inflammatory effects.
So are you saying it could help protect against heart disease?
It's a possibility, yeah.
Wow.
And there's also research suggesting it might play a role in regulating blood pressure
Oh, wow.
and improving blood flow.
Okay.
For example, there's this study from the American Journal of Physiology that found glutamine supplements actually improved blood vessel function in people with heart failure.
So it's not just about reducing inflammation.
Right.
It's about, literally helping the blood flow better.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how it all ties together, right?
Yeah.
How interconnected all of our systems are.
Right. What benefits one thing benefits another.
Exactly.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's not about isolating those benefits. It's about understanding how glutamine contributes to your overall health.
I like that.
Yeah.
The whole body approach.
Exactly.
Okay. Now I want to circle back to something we discussed earlier.
Okay.
Glutamine's role in the immune system.
Right.
Can you remind us how it actually works to strengthen our defenses?
So remember how glutamine is a key building block for white blood cells?
Yes.
And those are the front line of our immune system.
Right. They fight off infections and all that.
Exactly. So making sure we have enough glutamine means our bodies can produce enough of those white blood cells to keep our immune system strong.
So it's like making sure our army is ready for battle.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
And there's another interesting piece to this, too.
All right, what's that?
Remember how glutamine helps keep the gut lining healthy?
Yes.
Well, a huge part of our immune system is actually in our gut.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so by supporting gut health, glutamine's indirectly supporting immune function, too.
It's like a chain reaction.
Totally.
Glutamine to gut health to immune function, and a strong immune system keeps us healthy overall.
It all comes back to that interconnectedness.
Right, in that holistic approach.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this is all great.
Yeah.
But are there any specific situations where glutamine would be especially helpful?
You're thinking like certain health conditions or challenges?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. There's a few areas where its therapeutic potential is really being explored.
Okay, like what?
One that's pretty fascinating is its potential role in cancer treatment.
Cancer treatment? Really?
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that.
It's not about curing cancer, but research suggests that glutamine might help protect healthy cells from the damage caused by chemo and radiation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's also been shown to actually improve the effectiveness of certain cancer treatments.
So it's like supporting your body through a really tough time.
Exactly, giving it those extra resources to fight back and recover.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and there's another application that's getting a lot of attention.
Okay, what's that?
Glutamine's potential in treating HIV/AIDS.
Wow, seriously?
Yeah, so people with HIV/AIDS often experience muscle wasting
Mm-hmm.
and weakened immune systems.
Right.
And glutamine, because it's so important for protein synthesis and immune support,
Yeah.
might actually help counter those effects.
So it's like improving their quality of life.
Exactly, and helping their bodies cope with a very serious condition.
That's incredible.
It is, and these are just a couple examples of how glutamine's being investigated as a potential therapeutic tool.
Wow, this is all very promising.
It is. It
Yeah.
really is.
It seems like it could make a real difference for a lot of people facing different health challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, before we move on, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the future of glutamine research.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are you excited about?
Well, one area that I think is super exciting is personalized medicine.
Okay.
Researchers are trying to figure out how individual genetic makeup and lifestyle factors influence glutamine metabolism and like how much people need.
Gotcha.
So this could lead to like really tailored glutamine interventions
Okay.
for specific conditions based on the individual.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's moving away from that one-size-fits-all approach.
Right. More personalized, more targeted.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, and another area that I'm really excited about is developing new delivery systems for glutamine.
Okay.
So like, new formulations that make it easier for your body to absorb or that reduce side effects or even target specific tissues.
So it's about making glutamine even more effective.
Yeah, and more accessible for different applications.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think as research keeps going, we're going to see even more breakthroughs.
I'm sure you're right.
It's a really exciting field.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait to see what the future holds.
This has been a really insightful deep dive.
It has.
We've learned so much
Yeah.
about glutamine, its benefits, potential uses.
Yeah.
What a journey.
It really has been.
Yeah, it really has been.
So much more to discover, too.
I know, right? It feels like glutamine does so much more than I originally thought.
It's true. It really is a key player in so many different processes.
Are there any, specific situations where supplementing would be, I don't know, especially important or beneficial?
Well, one area that's really interesting is critical care,
Okay.
like in hospitals and stuff.
Gotcha.
Studies have shown glutamine can really help patients in intensive care units,
Interesting.
especially those recovering from, major surgery or trauma.
Wow, why is that?
Well, when your body's under that much stress, its demand for glutamine goes way up.
So they need more than they can produce on their own.
Exactly. And if they can't get enough,
Yeah.
it can impact things like immune response, wound healing,
Makes sense.
even maintaining the gut lining, which is already often compromised in these patients.
So it's like giving their body extra support
Yeah, exactly. Like when it needs it most.
to help it get through a really tough time.
Exactly.
That's pretty incredible.
It is. And this kind of leads into another interesting thing about glutamine.
What's that?
Its potential role in dealing with stress, like everyday stress.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
You know how we all have stress in our lives?
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, chronic stress can actually drain your body's glutamine stores.
Seriously?
Yeah, and that can lead to a bunch of negative effects.
Like what?
Weakened immune system, more inflammation, even muscle breakdown.
Wow. It's like stress is stealing our glutamine.
In a way, yeah, it's taking away those resources your body needs.
So that's where supplements come in.
Exactly. By giving your body that extra glutamine,
Okay.
you can help offset those effects and support your overall resilience.
So it's like a stress buffer.
Yeah, I like that, a stress buffer.
I'm going to use that.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept, and researchers are looking into this more and more.
Makes sense. So we talked about the benefits, but what about the practical stuff?
Like dosage and timing?
Yeah, exactly. What should people know?
Well, like always, it's best to talk to your doctor.
Right.
But a good general guideline for most adults is about 5 to 10 grams per day,
Okay.
divided into 2 or 3 doses.
Gotcha. And what about when to take it?
For general health, with meals or between meals is fine.
Okay.
But for athletes, taking it before or after workouts can really help with muscle recovery.
That makes sense. And I imagine there are certain things you could combine it with to enhance the effects, right?
Totally. For example, electrolytes can
Yeah.
help with hydration, especially after a tough workout. And combining it with protein can boost muscle protein synthesis, which is great for anyone trying to build muscle.
It really is a versatile nutrient,
It is, and I think that's what makes it so fascinating.
right? There's so many different ways it can be used.
Exactly, and research is constantly finding new ones.
That's pretty amazing.
It really is, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds.
This has been a truly eye-opening deep dive.
I'm glad you think so.
I've learned so much about glutamine.
Me too, honestly.
Now, before we wrap things up, any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah, we often think of our bodies as all these separate systems.
Right, like the digestive system, the nervous system, all that.
Exactly, but in reality, everything's connected.
That's true.
And glutamine is a perfect example of that. Its functions impact so many different parts of the body.
Right, muscles, gut, brain, immune system.
Exactly, so having that holistic perspective is really important.
Because what you do in one area can affect another.
Exactly, and I think that's what makes nutrition and health so fascinating. It's all about these connections.
That's a great point and a great note to end on.
Well, thanks for having me on this deep dive. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine, and thanks to all our listeners for joining us. Until next time, keep exploring.